Hello and welcome to the Next 100 Days podcast. My name is Graham Arrowsmith.
And my name's Kevin Appleby. So, Graham, we've been talking about plans in the last episode. We've been talking about routes to success. Now, we've got a young lady from Australia today who's going to tell us even more about the journey and being happy.
Yes, we've got Holly Smith, who comes from Brisbane in Queensland, and she's a remarkable young lady. And I'm going to ask, I better not ask her age, but I can more or less guess she's not in her 30s. That's for sure. And all I can say is that she is, we're going to tell her to tell us more about her business, but she helps people with habits. And so if you're kind of looking to build your business or build your life, you really need to get in touch with Holly Smith. So Holly, welcome to the Next 100 Days podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we daren't ask your age, but how old are you? No, I'm only kidding. I bet you.
I'm in my 20s.
You're in your 20s. Okay, that's good enough for us. And Kevin and I are not. So basically, you on your profile, it says you're looking for 7 business owners who want to create amazing habits. And is that your market? You want to you attract business owners to help them with their habits.
Yeah. So as you go through your journey, obviously in business, you kind of find out who your niche is as you go on coaching. And you're like, oh wow, I'm really attracting these kind of people, and I also resonate with these people. I enjoy coaching these people. So it actually came down to entrepreneurs and business owners. Accountability coaching is basically what I do. So I help business owners and entrepreneurs or people working a 9-to-5 job who want to start a business, who create foundational high performance habits. So they actually know what they need to do once they run their business, or they get 10x busier and they actually have those habits ready to go. And there are so many habits in this world. So we really start with the foundation of your health, your exercise, your routine, setting boundaries, that kind of thing. Yeah. And then we go a little bit deeper into building the business, like, the action plan, like how it's going to work. And then, we're just building the dream life and how they want to live it.
Going back to what you one of the things is you talked about 10x. So imagine, I can't imagine me being 10x more than I am now, but I'm sure I could be more effective in the things that I'm doing. But do people have a certain amount of skepticism when you say 10x?
Yeah. So 10x to me, you can mean anything. You'd be like, oh, you took that from Grant Cardone. 10x is everywhere. Like 10x to me is an expression that you can double your ability to do something 10x better. You know what I mean? So if you don't think you can do 10x better at something, you've got a limiting mindset. As simple as that, right? Everyone can always do better at everything they're constantly doing. So when I wrote the 10x productivity guide, which is my freebie that goes out, a lot of people go, oh, I can't be 10x busier, or yes, please, I want to be 10x busier. But it's basically just an exaggeration to say, could you double how busy you are, but not just busy, double how productive you are. Yeah. And I guess that's where the 10x kind of comes from.
Yeah. I think I did notice, and there's a link on your LinkedIn profile that takes you to the 10x page. And it says, the headline is, access how to 10x your productivity and schedule your days for success. That's the key, isn't it? That, we wake up in the morning. I mean, for Kevin, he's barely out of his pajamas this morning because it's quite early over here and late afternoon in Australia. But, for us to make the most of today, which is we're recording on Thursday in mid-July, what are the things that you would be talking to us about making our lives more productive?
Yeah, so being productive, generally a lot of people think, oh, I've got to do more things efficiently, which is, I guess, true, right? Yeah. But the thing is, you actually have to know what you're doing. Like I say this at all. If you have busy work, you're like, oh, I just use the afternoon to catch up on emails and, whatever comes in, I just work. Yeah. That's not good enough. Like that, in my expression, it's not good enough. The thing is, if you don't know what you're doing, you're not actually doing anything. You're not, because you don't have a plan. And that's the kind of the way.
That is very fair.
Yeah, because this is the way I look at it. If you want to be productive, you actually have to know what you're doing every single hour of the day. And it sounds insane to some people who like to go with the flow. But if you want to be productive and actually use your time efficiently and use every time an hour of the day efficiently, you have to actually have a plan and know what you're doing. So what I coach people on, and I guess what I do myself, and I have done forever, is I wake up at the same time. Every hour of the day, I know exactly what I'm doing. And it's not overwhelming, but because I know that I can knuckle down in this time. And it's so much that there's different hours of the day. Like there's an hour of the day where I have creative time. So I sit down and journal and do my creative time to maybe write my next book or whatever I'm working on.
Yeah.
I have my first hour of my day for my MITs, my most important task, where I just smash out my most important work because I'm a morning person and I know if I do it first thing in the morning, it's going to be done, right? And then I, section my time out for my client calls, my marketing, blah, 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 right? It's all structured and it's all very efficient. And that's it. Like if an external factor came in, like, for example, someone had to go pick up their kids because they got sick or they had to do something, or someone knocked on their door and they have to, talk to their employee. You've got to actually like change that calendar invite for that hour to somewhere else. It doesn't get, I'll do that, and it doesn't get done for a few months, right? You have to change it. So that's kind of, I guess, the efficiency side of it. Yeah. And that's really seriously how you 10x your productivity.
And it sounds easy.
Well, I don't know if it is, but I don't think anything worthwhile is easy. But having said that, the practice and the habit is the key thing, I think. But I'm going to start with, what time do you start? So I mean, I'm quite an early riser, but I flag late afternoon. So I'll turn my phone off, I don't know, early evening, and and effectively that's me for the day. I mean, people just don't get in touch with me that way, but that's how I prefer it. But early in the morning, I'm there and I'm going. But I used to be a paper boy, so I think mornings were always my thing. What about yourself? Do you start really early? Is it a 4 o'clock thing, or is it a 6 o'clock thing? Or
yeah, so I went through a phase, and I was also going through a bodybuilding prep as well. So I was like prepping for a comp, and I was literally so structured. I was waking up at 4:30 a.m. every morning, doing 2 hours of work, and then going to, because I was doing personal training, like I was actually personal training people, not online. So yeah, that was quite a few years ago now, but like that just changed everything. There's getting the habit of that routine. So now what I do is I'm such a morning person, love the mornings. I'll wake up at 5, half an hour just to wake myself up. Sometimes I'll do some affirmations, visualization, those kind of things. And then I'll sit down for a good solid 90 minutes and just smash out something that I need to get done for that day. And it just frees my day up so much. And then
would you have eaten before you did that? Because wouldn't you be, hungry at that point?
Yeah, well, I don't, I've always been someone who can't eat really within an hour or two when I wake up. Otherwise as well, especially again, not everyone can relate to this, I guess, but because I'm still going through another bodybuilding comp, I want to kind of push my macros and my food, later, because I'm on lower calories. Okay. So therefore, if I eat at 6 o'clock in the morning, my body is like a clock, right? So it's going to wake up naturally at 5 o'clock in the morning, but then again, it's going to be super hungry at 6 o'clock in the morning as well. So you can actually train your body to do absolutely anything, but how you start your mornings is how the rest of your day kind of plans out.
So you have an hour and a half of real hard, concentration. Would that be on your MITs, as you said? I love that phrase. I don't think I'd heard of it until I read your bio there, but most important tasks. I've just been reading the wrong books, Kevin.
Yeah. You obviously have, Graham. I mean, this is it. You're just reading marketing books all the time. So.
Well, that's true, but
I totally agree with most important task, and I've got a similar feeling that if something isn't done by 11 o'clock in the morning, it's probably not going to get done. And I must admit that I tried to protect mornings by blocking diary off and making sure that calls are in the afternoon. So, for instance, we'd normally record this podcast towards the end of the afternoon.
Yeah.
I'd normally try to arrange catch-up meetings or client meetings after 2 p.m. So the morning is as free as possible to get on and do that very important stuff. I think you're making a very, very good point, though, Holly, that how you start the first hour of the day is really important. It sets you up for the rest of the day.
Yeah, absolute game changer.
So you all right? Okay, so you're going to address some of those most important tasks, and would that? I mean, you talked about being having a creative hour or a creative period. Have you realized over time when you are the most creative? Because I certainly have, and actually, mine's generally mid-late afternoon. And it has been for years. It doesn't mean to say that I won't come up with a creative idea in the morning, but generally speaking, I can see that because I think the brain's slightly more relaxed, tired a little bit, and maybe
mid-late afternoon, Graham. And you just said a few minutes ago that's when you're normally flagging.
No, I know, but that means that there's late and late afternoon. But the point being is that I think your brain is slightly more at ease and relaxed, and maybe that's what allowing you to be more creative. I think that was
Holly, when are you most creative?
Yeah, good question. So I know my body so well, and this goes part to, it's called pH 360, and it's basically everyone's got a completely different type of body and how they think and the way their body is, blah, blah, blah. And I know, because my body's an activator body type, I know literally what time I need to eat, what time I need to wake up, when I can do cardio, when's best for me to do weights, when's the best for me to be creative, when I should go. Like, I know when these parts are because I know my body type. But I have found within myself, like, for example, I'm best at doing cardio at 6:30 a.m. in the morning. I'm best at lifting weights at between 1 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And my most creative time is at 6 to 7 p.m. generally.
Wow. Well, do you know
the end of the day?
Well, I know, but I think there's something. I mean, after all the exercise, after all the almost the achievement of getting things done, you're almost. I think I don't know, decompressing. What's the right word? But I think you're in a position where you can think things through clearly, and you've got a lot of stimulus from the day as well. So, and all these sort of connections come through. So, I think there's something in this. I'm sure if we get somebody who's a neuroscientist and probably tell us why. But that said, it seems an awfully clear thing for you. How do you spot that in others then, Holly? You said your body type is an activator type. Mine's a deactivated body type. So I mean, obviously, clearly, I'm, not quite. Although I'm averaging 10,000 steps a day this year. So I'm awesome. Reasonably well. No, if compared to the previous year, it's pretty good. So, how do you determine You're looking at Kevin. What's his body type? Do you know?
Yeah, so I would have to actually go through a whole assessment to figure it out.
Oh, I see.
But the easiest way to figure someone out, like not just their body, but how their brain works and what they're best at and blah, 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 is simply by asking them, what do they do every hour of the day? From the time what time do they wake up? When do they eat their meals? What do you do every other day until you go to bed? And then I can easily go ask them questions. All right, do you have the most energy here, or here? In the morning, in the afternoon, or think, all right, I have the most energy in the morning. Okay, cool. So why are you working out at 6 p.m. at night? You know what I mean? So we kind of move things around so it actually relates to how your body works. Because if you are not a morning person and you have you're going to go to the gym at, let's say, 6 o'clock in the morning, then you're forcing your body to do something that you can train it to do that after a period of time, but most probably it's going to be a lot harder for your body, especially if you're doing a different type of exercise that you're not used to as well. So it really ranges on your current routine and actually knowing how you're feeling throughout the day. So I like people to keep like a journal and kind of document it for just one day, how they feel throughout the day. The energy levels kind of generally tell me. And if people generally know if they're a morning person or a night person, like it's not really too hard to tell.
No. I mean, you don't need to be in your 60s to know that. To be honest with you, I mean, I think that's one of the things is that over time we've figured it out. And actually,
have we figured it out? I'd like to challenge that because
okay.
Holly is running her own business in her 20s, and hasn't gone through a career of 40 years working for a corporate, where you and I have been kind of brainwashed into work takes place between 9 and 5. Now, there's a routine that has been determined not by us, but by employers, that you get up in the morning, You commute to the office, you do some work, you stop for lunch, do some more work, you commute home, and you do your personal stuff in the evening. Now, that's pretty much framed a habit that we've had nothing to do with. And even now, I still find it difficult to get out of the mindset that those hours are when I should be sitting at the desk doing stuff.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. And that's it. Like, and it's, if you formed a habit for 40 years to do that, then to break that habit, it's, you've got to change your whole routine and then stick for it for another 12 months. Right.
Yeah.
So,
yes,
it's interesting.
Yeah. The clients that you're serving and going to serve, I think it's not unsurprising that they're business owners, because if they're not business owners, then to Kevin's point, they might actually be locked into the 9 to 5 or whatever it is. Whereas a business owner does have a little bit of latitude over how to spend his or her time. So I think that's maybe in your favor. And is that one of the reasons that you're selecting those people?
Yeah, so I work with a lot of people that still work 9 to 5 jobs, but they have side hustles. They have, big dreams. Like I coach someone whose biggest dream is to literally, like, we're literally helping him get there, is to be the official, the ref at the Super Bowl, right? And we've got someone who's like starting a whole massive business with a lot of capital behind it. Like, there's just so many different people that we're working with. But you know what the most rewarding thing is? Helping someone who's working a 9 to 5 role, and through that awkward period, building another business on top of that in every spare hour they have. They're helping them structure their days efficiently, keeping them accountable so they can leave that job and start that business and have it, up and running so they have some income. But the biggest reward is seeing them hand in their letter and say, goodbye, I've started my own business. That is just so awesome to watch, because it's like all your hard work is just paid off, and now you're under your own terms, own rules, own habits you can create, and your own hours.
So Holly, you actually help people get out of corporate jail, then, don't you? So that's really good. I mean, there are all these escape stories where people start a side gig, they've got a passion for that, and sadly they don't have a passion for the work that they're getting paid for. Well, not as much. And then you come along and then you structure their time in such a way that it gets the most out of their bodies and their minds, and enables them to get to their goals quicker, presumably.
Yeah, 100%. That's it. And it's the accountability. Like, the two reasons people actually fail is they don't have clarity, they don't know where they're going, they don't have an action plan, and accountability. There's no one holding them accountable on a weekly basis to say, all right, did you tick these things off to move the needle forward? So, yeah. Yeah.
And are you quite fierce like that? I mean, we had another guest who, Simona, I remember she called herself fierce, but she looked anything other than fierce. But the point is, to be that accountability coach, how's your demeanor? If somebody's not done it, I mean, do you get in their faces a bit, or how do you help them?
It's interesting. Like, I go about it a different way. Like, I'm pretty down to earth, but I'm also very upfront. Like, I'm kind, but I'm very much, I'll say it how it is kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm very direct with how I speak. And when people first start coaching, like when I first start coaching them, they already know that. Like, they know it from our first phone call. I'm like, all right, this is the problem. This is the issue. This is what you need to do. Go do it. And if you don't do it, you're not failing anyone else but yourself. That's it, right? So they all know that. So therefore, they're always up to speed. But holding them accountable in a way where they don't want to disappoint you. You really just don't want to disappoint someone that you really respect. And I think all my clients, they respect me enough to actually do the work and move forward. So I don't really have to. I don't get angry at people. Yeah. All they really do is get upset with themselves, because I just tell them, all right, well, you didn't do this today. It means we're actually a week behind, right?
Yeah. Wow. I mean, I'm getting a sense of how that must feel with you at the end of the. Presumably, this is a Zoom call that you're having with somebody, or do you actually physically meet them?
No, I have clients all around the world, which is really cool. So it's always Zoom meetings.
All right. So and presumably, just like this one, I mean, you're finding time in your afternoon, and where Kevin and I are both in our beds at the moment, and as we're recording it, well, all right, we're not, but basically, presumably you have to slot that in, because if they're around the world, they're at different times. I mean, what time will it be in America? It'll be sort of middle of the night right now, I guess, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I actually, a few years ago or 2 years ago, I reckon, I had to make the decision to work around my own hours, and I had to go, all right, well, if you can't fit within these time brackets, like, I want to work with you, but if you want to work with me, you're going to have to make it fit, right? Because I wanted to bring it, like, I can't tell others how to build their dream day if I'm not doing it. You know what I mean? So I made the decision to set all these boundaries, and I wasn't doing calls in the UK at 4:00 in the morning anymore. I wasn't doing like late night American calls. I was really, really strict. And you know what? Biggest game changer I ever made, because right now I start work probably between 7. I have my meetings from 7 till about 3:00 in the afternoon. Sometimes they're back to back, sometimes they fluctuate. But between those times, generally everyone can fit it in. So I think 7 a.m. for me in the UK is like
7 a.m. for you, it'll be late night, won't it? So
So a lot of people, and it's funny, a lot of people in America are happy to stay up quite late. So, you know, all clients in the States, so I generally do them evening or at night. In Australia, during the day.
It's all those gunshots outside their window, isn't it? It'll keep them up. You know, I mean, all those shootings and so forth. But I better not say that. I'm going to America in September. But they'll have a mark on my back. But
seriously, get through customs on the way in.
Anything to declare? No. But no. As far as you're helping people, you talk about meal plans as well, and you know, I'm a diabetic. I have to kind of watch what I eat. But having said that, presumably, are you getting help from your partners, or is it just you said you're going to be in a competition, so you probably know food quite well? Yeah, so
I have an online fitness business. That's where I've all started before accountability. So BizFit is my online fitness business. I basically give busy people the meal plans, the exercise programs, the scheduling and the strategy to basically put themselves and their health first, right? And because it's all built around their lifestyle, what they enjoy eating, and whole foods, it's not the chicken broccoli diet. They you know, create better habits and enjoy it, right? And they actually stick to it. So what was your question?
Well, no. I mean, I know I noticed that, you know, meal plans is part and parcel of what you're offering people, and you've obviously got a heritage with that, so it's something that you do understand. It's not like you'll sub that off to somebody else.
Oh no, that's it. No, I've done my nutrition courses and whatnot, and I've been doing it for a long time. I've been doing it for like 6 years. So personal training, and you know. And
this idea of a competition, what is it that you're competing? I mean,
it's called, I've got my own coach for that as well. And they give me my meal plans and everything, but it's called WBFF. So it's World Beauty, Fitness and Fashion. So it's, if you look up WBF online, you'll know what it's all about, but it's a little bit hard to explain. But it's literally just like a bodybuilding comp. So you've got like a bikini comp, you could say. So I did one last year, but I actually didn't even I went through a 6-month prep and didn't get to compete because of COVID. It full got cancelled. So that was super, super heartbreaking, especially for my mental headspace, like going through missing out on, you know, and all that, you know, prep.
I suppose you'd have been outside on the beach as well. I really don't get these people. It just annoys me. But anyway, by and by. You weren't allowed to compete. So yes, you had to overcome that. And I get that.
Maybe a stronger person, and you know, all those good things that came from it. And you know what, I'm actually really glad, because this year I'm competing and I've built so much more muscle. But like a typical routine is like I'm on about like I think 1900 calories at the moment, which is still it's still pretty good amount of food, to be honest. Like I'm almost at maintenance. It's because I built more muscle. So on that, I am working 5 days a week in the gym. No cardio yet, 7,000 steps a day. So look, it's not too crazy. The only thing is you've got to stay consistent. You don't just go out on the weekend and eat whatever you want. So
no, I get you. And is it you make poses, or do you have to lift weights, or is that kind of thing? Because you mentioned it's the beauty as well. I think you tick that box, but the point is it's the rest of it, isn't it? I mean, so we're only seeing your head. With the rest of it, is it just simply showing people that your muscles are well defined and all, so I think
they look at posing, which is like I guess, the positions that you hold,
Yeah.
the absolute, like the look, how
Yeah.
sophisticated you look, but also the body fat percentage and how your muscle and definition as well, which is,
Yeah.
it's just something that I've wanted to tick off on my bucket list for a while. So I'm just excited to do
And
it. But
is it a Queensland thing or is it an Australia thing? I mean, are you, or is it just a Brisbane thing? Is it
worldwide?
Oh, it's a worldwide thing.
Everywhere. It's everywhere. So
wow.
They have pro shows. They've got pro shows, usually one in every state, and then they have little shows as well. So the one I'm not a pro, but I'm still amateur, but I'm competing in the pro show. So with the other amateurs, though, not with the pros.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a massive one, which means, the borders are opened up now. So it means people all over the world will fly in. It will be a very big show.
Fly into where? Whereabouts is it being held?
It's at the Gold Coast. So I'm in Brisbane, so it's literally up the road.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, well, it's home territory for you then, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kevin.
So, Holly, you're talking about going and doing the competitions. There's obviously a target there to get to. There's a destination. We've been talking about business owners trying to get to a level of growth. We've been talking about maybe folk in employment that have got side hustles, and there's that target of the day they step away and hand the notice in. This all sounds like happiness from a future destination. What about how do you make sure that happiness is today rather than when that target comes along?
Yep. Good question. So I think all these big things and goals that people strive for, they don't define our happiness. I really believe, like, this is what in my book, if you read my book, 30 Days to Happiness, it's basically the habits that reconstruct your subconscious mind to wake up happy every single day, no matter where you are in life, right? So a lot of the time we are like, I can't wait to launch that business. It means I'll be happy and I'll be out of my 9-to-5 role, or, I'll earn more money here, or I'll compete here and complete this and I'll be happier. But enjoying every single day, really means living in purpose to me and being content. And you really can't be content if you don't know your purpose, right?
Yeah.
And the purpose, I go through a purpose workshop with most of my clients, gives you a reason to get out of bed every morning, right? No matter what state you'll be in. It's that kind of thing that will help pull you up when you're super down. But that purpose equals contentment, therefore you equals happiness. And that's kind of like my formula that I've got in my book. But yeah, you just got to build those habits that you can use every single day when you do have a low day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we'll put a link. We'll put a link to your book. It's called 30 Days to Happiness.
30 days.
Yeah, 30 Days to Happiness, right?
Yeah. It'll be on my LinkedIn.
And is it your first book?
Yeah, my first book. It's been a 3-year process. It's been so crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, and is it like one of these books that you write in 90 minutes, or is it a book that's taken you a while to do?
3 years. 3 years.
Oh, crikey. Yeah.
It means a lot.
Yeah, it does. I love this sort of picture on it because it's really quite plain. But is it 30 Days to Happiness is shaped like a
smile.
A smile.
Smile. Yeah. How cool is that? Yeah. And it's kind of like a winking face.
I love it, and so people will be able to get that. What would you really like people to get as an outcome of having read the book? What do you think they'll probably take away from it that you would want them to have understood by the book's essence?
Yeah, that you cannot find happiness in materialistic things. The only way you can be happy every single day is if you are living in purpose, if you know your values, but most of all, you have these habits that if you're one day depressed or anxious, or you don't want to go to work because something happened, or you just, you're feeling the lowest of the lowest, you have these foundational habits to pull you back up and use. Like, they're literally like mechanisms that you can use, right? They're there. You just got to adapt to them, right? So they're kind of like a coping mechanism, just almost like, if someone is struggling to deal with their emotions, they'll journal. That's a mechanism, right? But you've got to do it to make it a habit and actually reap the result.
Where did you get the inspiration for all of this? What happened in your life before that put you on this path?
Yeah, so I guess I've got a lot of stories, but I guess the main one that allowed me to write this book was all through school. Like I just felt lost, didn't know my purpose. I like was in the sport industry for ages, and then like all this other, long story short, because it's quite a long story, I just got so depressed. I hated my life. I hated school. I wanted to commit suicide. Like all these crazy things happened. I hated it, right? Literally would yell at 12 years old, I hate my life. I wanted to die. Like that is pretty tough coming from a 12-year-old girl. So my teenage years were so tough. So one day I was like driving, because I was in the real estate industry after school, and I was just driving to work. I still like would never smile. I'd be like, still, hey, don't really like my life. I was in a really unhappy relationship. And I remember just driving to work, and I was like, I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want to feel like this anymore. Like I just hate feeling like this. Like it got to a point where I hated my life so much, but I hated feeling like this more, which was my trigger to take action, right? Which is, this very rarely happens. You know, a lot of people will stay in that hole and, you know, forever, right? Or get medication and blah, blah, blah. So I remember driving to work one day, and I was just going to smile. I just smiled the whole way there, 20 minutes there, 20 minutes home every single day. And it was that little habit that actually allowed those endorphins and dopamine hit in my brain to make a trigger. And therefore, like, you know, every single day it got easier and easier. And then I adapted the habit of making sure my posture at work was better. And then I made sure I was scheduling my days and going to the gym regularly. And then I made sure I surrounded myself with better people. I made sure my words of affirmation everything coming out of my mouth, I caught if it was negative, and now I don't speak any negative words, you know? So it's like all those little habits that pulled me out of a really unhappy place. And the book really starts surface level like that, like, you know, the habits, your smiling, your posture, people you surround yourself with, and then it goes deeper to financial happiness. So you cannot find happiness in money. It provides opportunities that will make you happy for a period of time. But if you don't have purpose, you don't have happiness. So yeah.
Wow. God, blimey. You know, if we could extend a hug to Australia, then we'd be sending a hug to you, because to be honest with you, what a life you've lived. I mean, and what's really important is the moment that you inflected from previous life to new life.
Yeah. That
moment, like you said, doesn't often happen with people. Was it something on the radio? In the car? I mean, was it something that somebody royally hacked you off, or what was it that triggered that moment of inflection?
Yeah, so I think it was a supernatural healing as well. Like whatever you believe in, universe, God, whatever it is you believe in. I remember just yelling out one day, I was like, God, like take this pain away from me and whatever. Otherwise I'm done, like literally done. And next day, never woke up with suicidal thoughts again. I was generally like kind of felt like I was happy. And yeah, like I've got a really good relationship with God now. I'm a Christian. And I think as well, Dean Graziosi, he's written an amazing book called Millionaire Success Habits. After that situation, gosh, it felt like such a long time ago. I can't really remember, but I think it was after that situation. I read his book, Millionaire Success Habits, did absolutely every action step in that book to a T. And it literally allowed me to start living the best life I possibly can, change my mind, change my thoughts. And I still read that book almost every single year since I read it. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, I prefer to believe that you did get a message from above. So I think that's a wonderful story. But I mean, you are still in the foothills, aren't you? Because you're still a young person, and you've still got a huge amount of things to actually achieve in your life. If you had to sort of say, okay, well, these are the top three things I really want to do, conquer this or whatever, what would you say are amongst those top three?
Yeah, good question. I love I just love thinking about the future and the impact that I want to make. That's what excites me, and that's what gets me out of bed every morning. So I know my purpose. My purpose is to wake up every single morning, is to actually help other people wake up happy every single morning. So that is my purpose, right? And I know if I'm laying in bed and don't feel like getting out of bed, which is very rare, I know that I could actually save someone else's life today if I just put out that one quote and they read it. You just never, ever know. So my three things in the next however long I live, I really want to create a massive foundation called 30 Days to Happiness. I want it to be a charity, a foundation, and an organization where it's just supporting people and with mental health, but more importantly, actually teaching them how to overcome it rather than deal with it. So a lot of people raise money and no one knows where it goes, and a lot of things happen like that. And they're making aware, like Mental Health Month. Mental Health Day should be on a daily basis. There's days for awareness, but I just want it to be like 30 days to happiness could be like, there's 30 days in a month. It should be every day. So that's the first thing. The second thing, I really want to build I'm actually doing this now. In the next 6 months, we're building it as a massive personal development mastermind. So 30 Days of Happiness is going to be a massive mastermind for people who want to start living happier life and start living their dream life. Yeah. And then I guess the third thing I want to build my dream house. I want to build my dream house on acreage and have everything I need for work, my podcast studio, my office. I want to have everything there so people can literally fly in and I can interview them and, that kind of thing. So that's probably my 3 biggest dreams.
I think that the podcast studio should be a must for you. And the reason for that is that if you could be like the morning shock DJ, you can imagine everybody getting up and thinking they're waking up in a fog, and then you come on, and then you tell them, you sort of share with them some of the ideas that they could have during that day. You could be a mega star. You know what I mean? Because you'd be changing the whole world. Anyway, I'm only sort of developing one part of your story there, but no, I think it's wow. The fact that those things is not surprising, but it's very impressive as well. And you start with charity, which is, I guess, up to a point. There's something in the fact that probably you were helped by God, that you're actually potentially helping others as well with a charitable use of 30 Days to Happiness.
That's exactly right. Like, I want to create a system in schools that don't just go in once a year and say, hey, look, if you're struggling, blah, blah, deal with these habits, but actually make it a program, like in schools, how to find their purpose. And if they do feel like this, the habits they can build to, and develop to get out of that situation, and to know that just because you feel like that, it's like, oh, it's okay. Like, it's going to be okay. Like, it's not going to be okay because it will lead you down a dark path, So I think catching that and helping people to be okay with being vulnerable, with wanting to create the habits to make a change. I'm just really passionate with young adults, teenagers, because they're like the foundation for all of us now in the next generation.
Of course. Do you find any particular age group more or less challenging, and are girls more difficult than boys? I mean, when we talk about business owners as well here, so is there any particular age group, or maybe they've been in business for a while, they've got themselves into a fog, etc. I mean, and then they've realized they need help. So what are the sort of standout caricatures that you're dealing with, or that might be most challenging for you?
Yeah, interesting. It's interesting because most of my clients are men in their middle age. Literally almost all of them, and I love it because I'm able to be the person that they can't really talk to anyone else about things, right? Yeah. So they feel vulnerable with me. They feel like they can trust me and respect me enough. Yeah. And help them build their dream life. Because the thing is, between men and women, it's very different. Like, I love working with women as well, but I'm very, very passionate about men's mental health because men don't really talk. It's simple as that, a lot of them don't feel vulnerable enough to be able to talk. Women naturally have been born, not all of them, I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of the time women talk quite easily and freely with their girlfriends. If they don't have any girlfriends, then obviously it's a different path. But we're both built very differently, and I think as well, everyone, it's really hard to answer that question because I guess it depends on the person, and I think men and women both have their differences.
Does it? It doesn't. I don't know about you, Kevin, but it seems. I think I would probably relate better to you than maybe to a man. And actually, I think if you said to me, Graham, you were supposed to do this, I think I'd probably listen to you. Do you know what I mean? And I think there's probably something in that. But I don't know what do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, I agree with you, Graham. I think you've got to step out of away from the person that would probably be too similar to yourself, would probably empathize with you too much, and get to that stage of a very different perspective for it to sink in and make sense. So yeah, I think I'd be with you that somebody like Holly would be in the ideal position to be that coach, to give that advice.
And you're seeing in yourself, Holly, somebody who's actually having clearly developed themselves and are developing themselves.
Yeah.
And I've got all this energy and positivity, and it's such an attractive set of characteristics for a business person who says, yeah, I want, my man, I want that person to help me. And I think that you would be the go-to for many business owners, because they would be able to relate to that strength of character that you clearly have, but also the range of skills that you're showing.
100% agree with that.
I mean, you're quite a very impressive person, and I am really glad that you've joined us today on the Next 100 Days podcast.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and yeah, it's been awesome.
So Graham, we've learnt a lot from our look at Dan Kennedy's Renegade Millionaire and the 7 Secrets, and we knew that time was one of the most important of those 7 secrets. So Holly's given us a big insight into use of time today. Very much. The idea of happiness and having that purpose, that really came across. And knowing what you're doing in each hour of the day, and when you have high and low energy levels, and then I guess the plans that Holly can actually help you with. And if you're by the sound of it, a male business person, and you're looking for somebody to help 10x or double or treble or whatever your performance, then you could do a lot worse than downloading some of Holly's stuff, getting to know more about what she does, and then maybe having a consultation with her to see how she can help you. Yeah, and that 10x is really interesting, Graham, because it is really about changing mindset. And if you say that I'm going to 10x this is so different that you simply can't keep doing what you're doing now. You've got to make a change. You've got to stop things that you're doing. And habits is as much about stopping as it is about starting. Yes, absolutely. And I mean, she's got some fantastic testimonials from others on her various sites that she runs. But the BizFit business that she talked about is quite amazing. I mean, she's got some really positive results for people, and they love her for it. And sometimes you just have to go through that pain to get to a place that you want to get to. But it's helpful to have somebody around to, as she does, hold you accountable. So I was really very impressed with her. And holding accountable is so important. And a weekly meal plan as well, Kevin, which thinking about the time of day that it still is, it'll be probably some cornflakes for you at the moment. I think it probably is, yeah. Nice bowl of, don't really do cornflakes. It's going to be more nutty granola, I think. Oh my! Well, that says an awful. That's the revealing parts of your soul, Kevin. On that bombshell, Graham, I think we ought to finish. Yes. Okay. Well, today I've been Graham Arrowsmith. I've been Kevin Appleby. Goodbye. Goodbye.